Today we're going to be crocheting this adorable bunny AirPod case in 2 different sizes. The smaller size, which is a little more of a snug fit, is going to be this white bunny, and the slightly larger size will be the gray bunny. Both tutorials include how to crochet the yarn eyes or the beaded eyes. If you are interested in the slightly larger gray bunny, I would skip to 23 minutes and 45 seconds. To start out, we're going to be making a slip knot, and we are going to chain 6. To chain 6, you will just yarn over and then pull that yarn through the loop. You're going to do that 6 times. Now we are going to put our hook through the first chain, yarn over and pull through. And next we are going to single crochet 6 into the loop that we just made. And this is what it should look like when you're done single crocheting all the way around. You should have 6 stitches. And next we are going to increase all the way around. That means we're going to put 2 single crochets in every single stitch. So I'm going to start with my 1 single crochet and add a stitch marker. And then we're going to put a single crochet again into that same stitch. And then we're going to copy all the way around. So here's my 1 single crochet and the second one in the same stitch. And this is what it should look like when we are finished with that round. I'm going to single crochet into the next stitch and add my stitch marker. The next round will be single crochet increase. So I just did my first single crochet, and now we are going to increase into the next stitch. 1, 2, and we're going to copy that all the way around my single crochet, and then an increase into the next stitch. We're just finishing up here, and then for the 4th round, we are going to single crochet 2 and then increase. So here's my 1 single crochet, and then I add my stitch marker. Here's my 2nd single crochet, and then we will increase in the 3rd one. And we are going to copy that all the way around. At the end of this round, you should have a total of 24 stitches. For the next 4 rounds, we are just going to single crochet. So I'm going to place my first single crochet in the next row, add my stitch marker, and then we're going to do 4 rows of single crochet. After you've single crocheted rows 4 through 8, it should look something like this. And I'm just going to double check my rounds and make sure I have everything there. I've also already removed my stitch marker, added the first single crochet into the next row, and then added my stitch marker again. Our next round is going to be single crochet 2 and then a decrease. And I'm going to be slowing that down here in a second. All right, we are going to single crochet 1, single crochet 2, And then for our decrease, we're going to insert our hook, grab the yarn, insert into the next stitch, grab the yarn, and pull through everything. We're going to do one more time, even slower. We have our first single crochet, our second single crochet, and for our invisible decrease, we are going to insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over, and pull through that stitch, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, and pull through. You should now have 3 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. After that, we're going to remove our stitch marker, add our single crochet for the next round, and place our stitch marker back in there. The last 2 rounds will be just single crochet all the way around. So that'll be rows 10 and 11. We'll single crochet all the way around. When you're finished single crocheting those last 2 rounds, it should look something like this. And next, we're going to be doing those loops that tie those AirPods in and keep them from falling out. I'm going to remove my stitch marker, slip stitch into the next stitch. And we are going to chain 5, yarn over and pull through 5 times. We're going to skip the next stitch and then slip stitch into the one after. I accidentally did a single crochet there, but it will be a slip stitch. After we cut our yarn and pull through, I like to weave both ends of the yarn down a little bit and close together so that I can tie them and cut them without them being noticeable. And I usually just double knot. So I'm going to double knot, and then I cut the yarn pretty close to the knot at the bottom. For the next loop, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 stitches seems pretty symmetrical with mine. It might be a little different for yours. So I'm going to slip knot, and insert my hook into that 7th stitch from the first loop. We are going to slip stitch, and we're going to chain 35. If you like the loop to be a little bit bigger, you can chain more like 40. If you like it a little smaller, maybe 30. But I found that 35 is a good length that I like it at. We're going to slip stitch into the bottom and repeat the same process that we did with the first loop. We're going to weave the ends, there's 2 this time, down towards the bottom. And I like to turn it inside out, double knot, and cut that extra yarn. After you flip it back inside out, you should have those 2 loops. And this is me just demonstrating how they go. For this next section, we're going to be doing the nose. For the nose, you'll need to cut 2 sets of 2 pieces of yarn together. So that's my first set. Here is my second set. And if you are doing yarn for the eyes, you will cut 2 more sets. So you'll have a total of 4 if you're doing the nose and the eyes with the black yarn. Here's my third set. And my fourth set to start out with the nose. From the center of your small loop you made, you're going to go down to rows 6 and 7, and you are going to pull one side of your set through the 6th one and one side of your set through the 7th one. You should have a little line like this. We're going to flip it inside out and double knot both ends together and then cut the extra yarn. When you flip it inside out, you should have this little line for the second part of the nose. We are going to stay in the 6th row where that first set went in, and we are going to put yarn on the right and left side of the 6th row. So one side will go into the right of the nose, and the other will go onto the left side. And we're going to repeat that same process that we just did, where we will flip it inside out. I usually pull it pretty tight, and we're going to double knot it. All right, and now we're done with the nose. Next, we're going to do the eyes. I'm going to quickly demonstrate where the beaded eyes will go, and then I'm going to take them out and fully demonstrate where the yarn eyes go. These ones will go 2 stitches to the right of the top of the nose and 1 stitch up. So we go 1, 2, and then up 1, and that is where the eyes will be placed. And then I'm just going to mirror that on the other side. I will go left 1, 2, and then up 1. So if you're doing the plastic safety eyes, you can go ahead and put those backs on and you are good to go. Next, I'm going to demonstrate the yarn eyes. We're going to go to the right 1 and up 1, and then we're going to put 1 set of yarn through that stitch. Mine was being a little bit difficult. Next, we are just going to go 1 stitch to the right, and we're going to place the other side through there. And there's your first eye. We're going to turn it inside out, double knot, and then cut the extra yarn. And there's our first eye. Now we're going to mirror that on the other side. Double knot and then cut the extra yarn. And you should have something like this. Next, we're going to be starting the ears with a slip knot. And we're going to chain 8. After you've made your set of chains, we are going to be crocheting all the way around this row of chains. You're going to skip the 8th chain you made and single crochet into that 7th one. And we're going to single crochet a total of 6 stitches before we pause. On our 7th single crochet, we're going to start our single crochet. We're going to do a color change and attach the white onto the end of the hook and pull through both. And now you're going to cut that pink yarn and start crocheting with the white yarn. In that same stitch, you're going to do another single crochet with the new white yarn. And now you're going to single crochet 5 more. In this last chain on the end, we are now going to double crochet 4 times into the same chain. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, pull through 2 loops. And we're going to do that a total of 4 times. This is going to create the slightly larger part of the top of the ear. All right, and now we're going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches. You should have now come all the way around, and we can leave a tail and cut the yarn. And now you have your little bunny ear. You're going to make 2 of these, and we're going to attach them in the next section. You're going to take your 2 pink ends of yarn, and you're going to double knot and cut them. This will kind of keep them out of the way when we're attaching them, so there's not too many strands of yarn in the way. And now we're just going to repeat that on the other ear. I would also recommend tying those 2 white strands of yarn together and cutting them as well. I just forgot to do it on this video. Now you have your bunny ears and the main part of the AirPod case. We're now going to attach those bunny ears. You will need some white yarn, enough to double knot. And I'm going to place this left bunny ear on the left side, and the yarn is going to go through these 2 stitches that are right next to that small loop. And we're going to weave it almost like in a circle, but make sure that the loose ends of the yarn are going to be facing the back. So I'm going to insert my hook through the bunny ear and then through the main part of the AirPod case. And then we're going to pull one end of this yarn through all of that. And then I'm going to repeat the same thing, but on the right side with the right stitch, I'm going to put my hook through the back of the bunny ear and then through the AirPod case. And now I'm going to pull the other end through to the back. Now we're going to take those 2 loose ends that we just pulled through. It might be easier to turn it inside out. And we're going to double knot them and then cut the extra yarn. All right, and now we have 1 bunny ear. We are going to repeat that on the other side. So we're going to grab our right bunny ear, put it behind the main part of the AirPod case. And I'm going to go ahead and put one end of the hook through the left side and then through the stitch that is to the right of the small loop that we made. We're going to pull that end through and then repeat on the other side. And now we can double knot those loose ends together and cut the yarn. And now for the big reveal, we can turn it inside out and we have our finished bunny AirPod case. To start our slightly larger bunny AirPod case, we are going to slip knot, insert our hook, and then we are going to chain 6. So to start a chain, we are going to yarn over 1 time and then pull through the loop. Yarn over, pull through. And we're going to do that 6 times. And then to make a circle, we are going to slip stitch into that first chain that we made. And now you should have a little circle. From the inside of that circle, we are now going to single crochet 7. This is what it should look like after 7. I'm going to do 1 single crochet into the next stitch and add my stitch marker. Our next row is going to be an increase, so we're going to do 2 in every single stitch. I already have my 1, here's 2, and then in the next stitch I'm going to single crochet 1, and then in the same stitch single crochet 2, and we're going to do that all the way around. I'm going to remove my stitch marker and single crochet, first one in the next round, add my stitch marker. Our next round will be single crochet and increase. So I have my single crochet, and now I'm going to increase into the next stitch. That's when we do 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Here's 1 and 2. I have single crochet, and then the increase, 1 and 2. We're going to do that all the way around. After this round, you'll see it start to make a circle. I'm going to remove my stitch marker, single crochet. This is the first one in the next row. And now we are going to single crochet 2 and then increase. So I have my first single crochet, here's my second one in the next stitch, and then we will increase in that third stitch. There's the 1, 2 increase, and now 1, 2, and increase. And we're going to do that all the way around. As we finish up this round, we're going to remove the stitch marker, do 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and that will be our first single crochet for the next row. And we are going to single crochet only for the next 4 rows. So rows 4 through 8, we will be single crocheting, and I will see you when we are finished with those. And you should have something now that looks like this, a little bit of a bowl shape. And we're going to single crochet into the next stitch, place our stitch marker. Our next round we are going to do single crochet 2 and then a decrease. So I have my single crochet 1, here's my single crochet 2, and then for the decrease we are going to insert the hook, yarn over, insert the hook into the next one, yarn over, and pull through all of the loops. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2, and then we're going to insert the hook into that next stitch, yarn over, pull through, insert it into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. All right, and now we're going to remove that stitch marker, do our single crochet, and add the stitch marker back. Our next round is going to be single crochet, and we're actually going to do that for the next 2 rounds. So row 10 and 11 will be single crochet all the way around. You should have something like this when you're done. And we are going to cut the yarn and pull our hook through. I'm now going to turn it inside out, and I'm going to weave that loose end on the top towards the loose end on the bottom. And then once I feel like they are close enough, I'm going to double knot them together and then cut the extra yarn. And then we can flip it back inside out. We're now going to be starting the loops that tie the AirPods in. We are starting with a slip knot. Here's a little bit of a slow motion tutorial on that. And then I'm going to use my stitch marker and count 4 stitches from that stitch marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's where I'm going to insert my hook. And we are going to do a slip stitch, so just yarn over and pull through everything. We're now going to chain 5. We're going to skip a stitch and then slip stitch into that next one. And after you pull that yarn through and tighten it, you should have a small little loop. We're now going to take those loose ends, and I like to weave them down a little bit before I tie them, just so they are less noticeable. So I'm going to be weaving one side all the way down, about halfway, and then repeating that on the other side. And then I found that it's easier to tie them since they're already down there and facing the inside if I just turn it inside out. You're going to double knot and then cut the extra pieces. And then if you flip it over, you can line it up as symmetrical as you possibly can. And I am going to see which stitches line up the best with the loops. These 2 stitches will be right next to each other. And I'm going to count just so you guys can get a little bit of perspective. So for me, it's the 9th stitch that seems to be the most symmetrical. So I'm going to do a slip knot, insert my hook, and then we are going to slip stitch into, for me, it's that 9th stitch. And then I'm going to chain 35 for my loop. If you like yours a little bit longer, you could do maybe 40. If you like it a little bit shorter, you could do 30. And then we're going to slip stitch it right into the next stitch. And after we cut the yarn, we're going to repeat the same process that we did for the other side, where we will weave the loose ends towards the bottom, and then we can turn it inside out and cut them. And when you flip it inside out, you should have your small loop and your big loop. Next, we're going to be working on the nose and the eyes. I'm going to be doing 2 demonstrations. The first one will be the placement of the yarn eyes, and the second one will be the placement of the plastic beaded eyes. For the nose, we will need 2 sets of 2 pieces of black yarn. So this is my first set, here is my second set. And if you are doing yarn eyes, you will need 2 more sets with a total of 4. So if you're doing the yarn eyes, this will be your 3rd set. And then we'll do 1 more. To start with the nose, I'm going to count down from the middle of the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to insert one side of our set of yarn into that 5th stitch down. And then we're going to insert the other side into the 6th row down. So there's my 5th row. I'm going to go 1 stitch lower, and that's where we will insert the other side. Now we can turn it inside out, and we are going to double knot these 2 sets together. And then we're going to cut and tie that yarn. I like to knot it a little bit tighter. I find it makes it look a little bit better when you're done. When you turn it inside out, you should have something now like this. And we're going to take our next set of black yarn, and we are going to go where that 5th row was, 1 to the left and 1 to the right. And we're going to insert one side of our new set of black yarn into the left. You can see it's giving me a little bit of trouble. I usually use a 3.5mm hook for weaving it through if I crocheted with a 4.5mm hook. And then we are going to insert the other side on the other side. And now we can double knot that yarn and cut it. Next, we're going to go over the placement. If you are choosing to do yarn eyes, we're going to go from the nose to the right 1 and up 1. And you're going to insert one side of your yarn into that stitch. Then we're going to skip a stitch and insert the other end in one stitch to the right of that skipped stitch. You should now have one eye, and we're going to mirror that onto the left side. You will go to the left one and up one from the nose. Insert on that side, skip a stitch to the left, and then insert the other end on the other side. For this demonstration, I'm going to be inserting the plastic safety eyes and keeping them that way for the rest of the tutorial. For these eyes, you will put them to the right 2 and up 1. I put them to the right 1 and up 1. If you like that look, you can do that too. I liked mine a little bit more spaced out. And then when you have them where you want them, you can add those safety backings. And there you have it. Next, we're going to move on to the ears. For the ears, you're going to do a slip knot. And then we are going to chain 8. If you did the other bunny, it is the same ear pattern as the white bunny that we just did. But you're going to chain 8. And then you're going to skip that 8th chain that you made and single crochet 6. There's my first single crochet, and then I have 5 more. On the 7th single crochet, we are going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, and then we're going to do a color change. So you're going to grab your gray yarn, slip knot, and then we're going to pull that gray yarn through those 2 pink loops. You can cut the pink yarn. And now we're just going to be working with the gray, and you're going to do another single crochet into the same stitch that you just did the 7th single crochet in. Here's a little bit up close. Now moving left still, we are going to single crochet 6. In our 7th, we are going to double crochet 4 times. So for double crochet, we yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, Insert the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. We're going to do that a total of 4 times. The rest of the way down, we're going to single crochet 5, and then you should have came all the way around. We're going to cut the gray yarn, pull through, and you should have your little bunny ear. We're going to tie the gray ends together in a double knot and then cut those ends, and we're going to repeat the same thing with the pink ends so those strands won't be in the way when we attach the ears. You're now going to repeat this process for the second ear, and I will see you for the ear attachment. All right, this is everything that we have so far. You're going to cut 2 gray strands, enough to double knot, for attaching the ears. We're going to grab one ear, place it on the left side, and it's going to go into 2 stitches, but we are going to first skip that first stitch to the left of the loop. So it'll go into the 2 stitches after that skipped one. I'm going to insert my hook through the left side of the ear. And 1, 2, 3, I'm going to insert it in the 3rd stitch from that loop. You're going to take your loose strand and pull it through the head and the ear. And then we're going to repeat that on the other side. We're going to insert our hook through the right side of the ear and then to 1 stitch on the right. And we're going to put our loose strand through both. It should look something like this, and we can flip it upside down. We're going to double knot those gray ends and then cut them. And you should now have your first ear. We're going to move on to the second ear. And insert your hook through the left side. We're going to skip a stitch from the loop and insert this one into the 2nd stitch from the loop and pull our loose yarn through both. Insert your hook through the right side and then the 3rd stitch from that loop. Pull the yarn through, and then we're going to tighten it, double knot, and cut the yarn. And now you have your completed bunny AirPod case. And for a size reference, this is what my AirPods look like inside the case. They're a little bit more loose fitting, and I usually prefer this size for my AirPod case. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.